first person who I experienced sexual assault and domestic violence with, unfortunately, was my first real boyfriend in college. I had no prior sexual experience really in any way. So a lot of firsts for me happened with him. And so when we first started dating, he was very thoughtful and caring and charming. And so I was basically smitten from the beginning. And our feelings just grew and developed. And then we got into an exclusive relationship and everything was a downward spiral. So it started with a lot of verbal abuse where he would say things like, oh, that's stupid, or you're stupid, or your major in college is stupid. And then it grew to psychological abuse where my opinions were stupid and everything I felt was stupid. And I mean, stupid is not the word he used, but it just everything I did and said and felt and thought was worthless and was irrelevant, and it just made me feel small. But I loved this man because he was so charming and thoughtful and caring, and in my head he always had my best interest in mind because I loved him, and that's sort of the foundation that he built. And so then it just got worse and worse to physical abuse and then sexual abuse. So about 3.5 months into our relationship, and I was a virgin, so I wanted to wait to have sex because it was something that was very meaningful to me, and he didn't want to wait. And so basically one night he made the executive decision to hold me down and do what he did. And I didn't have a choice. I couldn't fight back. I didn't even want to fight back. He was so much stronger than me, but my brain shut down. I went into survival mode. And I respond to trauma with tonic immobility, which is, there's fight, flight, freeze, tonic immobility, fawning. And so tonic immobility basically means you're paralyzed. You can't move. You're incapable of controlling your body. And so I just laid there and I couldn't breathe, and I don't know how long it took or anything, but all I know is that when I was able to regain control of my body, I just cried. I cried for 45 minutes. I curled up in a ball and I couldn't feel smaller or more violated than I did at that moment. And the abuse continued for several months before I finally got the courage up to leave him. And I think a lot of that was due to me having such an incredible support system. My parents and my friends didn't know what was happening to me. I didn't talk to them about it, but they knew something was wrong just based on how I was acting, and my personality changed. And I went from being a bubbly, outgoing, smiling person to just a shell of a human. I didn't smile anymore. I couldn't roll myself out of bed. I was starting to do really poorly in college, which was very unlike me. And so they stepped up and really filled that hole that was in my stomach, or that I felt in my stomach. And then, a couple of years later, I transferred to another college and met this guy who was abusive in a very different way. So I was used to the very textbook, if you read a book on what abuse is, my first boyfriend was classic. Everything like step by step, hit every box. This other guy, however, was way more covert. So he would do things that were a little coercive, but he would mask them with love bombing and gaslighting and manipulation. So he was a little more secretive. And so there was one night where we were together and I was sleeping and I woke up and he was having sex with me. There was no way I could have consented. I was dead asleep. And I woke up and I pushed him and I said, "Get off me. What are you doing?" And his response was, "Wait, I'm almost done." So he didn't respect what I was saying, didn't respect how I was feeling, took advantage of me while I was unconscious and incapable of consent, and then disregarded my wishes.